Hey YouTube family, welcome to my channel. I have a ton of holiday inspiration for you, so let's get to crafting. Okay, so I'm going to be elevating this little sign from the Dollar Tree. We're going to take it up a notch, and this is one of these here MDF particle board. This is from the Merry House collection at Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be hitting it with a coat of paint and adding some embellishments to it and taking it up a notch. So I decided to go with black, and I'm just going to give it a coat of this black paint, and I'm going to try to cover all of the letters to the best of my ability, and the little deer face that's on the end as well. And so you're going to want to get into all those little cracks and crevices and take your time and give it full coverage. So I grabbed one of these Crafter's Square cork sheets from the Dollar Tree, and this is the one with the adhesive backing on it. So now that my little decor sign is completely painted and I blow dried it, I'm going to be taking this adhesive cork sheet and I'm going to trace out that little deer face. I'm going to trace it out onto the cork sheet and cut it out so that I could adhere it to my little decor sign. Alright, so I went ahead and I traced out the deer face using this little metallic marker from the Dollar Tree, and I traced it out to the best of my ability, and I try to close it off because if you see that R there that I'm showing you and pointing to, it's kind of just all wonky there, so I tried to close it off. And so now I'm going to come in with my X-Acto knife off camera, and I'm just going to cut into that tracing, and then the next step will be to apply it to the deer face. And now for the moment of truth. Here's that little deer face that we cut out on the cork board. And so now I'm just going to be adhering it onto my little decor sign. And the beauty of this cork sheet is that it is self-adhesive, so you don't need any glue or anything like that. You just have to peel off the backing and apply it as such. Okay, so for the moment of truth, this stuff is pretty sticky, and so far so good. I'm liking it. You know, anything to make my life a little easier and not have to deal with hot glue guns and things like that. So this is pretty cool. I'm glad that Dollar Tree carries this stuff now. And so then I went and I picked up a pack of these assorted pom-poms in different colors. And so I thought to taking, you know, one of the smaller ones and use it as a nose like Rudolph. And so I have two, a tiny one and then like a medium-sized one. And I'm gearing more towards the medium-sized one because the smaller one seems to disappear. So I found another little decor plaque in my craft stash from last year. I'm sure they're out this year again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off the sides with some painter's tape to protect that nice little image because I really love it. And then I'm going to hit it with some of this here folk art chalk paint. So now that I got it all taped off, I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of that black chalk paint, and I'm going to mainly focus on giving it full coverage and getting all of that wordage on my decor sign completely covered, which is why I went with the black, and also so that it could be cohesive to that cute little buffalo check design that I conveniently taped off. Okay, so that I don't have to go busting out my hot glue gun or anything like that, I'm going to go in with these two here glues. One is a super gel glue and the other one is wood glue, both from the Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with some of this super gel glue first, and I'm just going to put some on the bottom of that Merry sign, but I'm going to spread it out so that I could come in between with the wood glue just in case there's any kind of chemical reaction. I'm not putting them one on top of the other. And then I'm going to go ahead and conveniently press it down onto that little decor box to make this a standalone sign. So now that I got the super gel adhesive down, I'm going to come in with some of this wood glue. And like I said before, I'm going to come in between the super gel adhesive, not to let those two glues mix and mingle together just in case. And I'm going to go all across my Mary sign all the way to the end. And then I'm going to tack it down to my little decor box. So now I'm going to center that Mary sign right down onto that decor box, and I'm going to hold it into place for a couple of seconds, giving that glue a chance to set up. So now to give my sign a little more stability, I grabbed a couple of these tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree, hit it with some of that black chalk paint, and I'm going to come in with some of that super glue gel, and I'm going to attach it to my little decor board because this is going to give it that support that it needs on the backing so that it could stand alone. And as you see, I did go ahead and tape down the little hanging twine. This way in the future, if I ever want to just take it off the box and hang it, I also have that option as well. So I'm going to elevate these two little nutcrackers by giving them a makeover, and I'm going to be hitting them with some of this Rust-Oleum chalkboard paint. And so for starters, the first thing I'm going to do is remove all of their hair because you can't spray paint the hair, it just doesn't look good. So I'm going to be taking and removing the hair off of both of the nutcrackers and giving them a good coating of that spray paint. So here's a glimpse at what they look like now that they're hairless. I removed all of the hair from both of the nutcrackers so that you won't see any of that crunchy dried up hair once the spray paint dries. And here's a look at how these two bad boys turned out once I hit them with a coat of that chalkboard spray paint. I'm just loving the way they look. They look so high end now you would never think that they came from the Dollar Tree. So in the interest of multitasking, I have these two here little crystals. They're supposed to be crystals from the Dollar Tree, and they came in an array of colors of gray and gold, white and gold, and I want to say green and blue and gold too. Anywho, to me, they kind of resemble Christmas trees. That's what they look like to me. And so I'm going to hit it with some more of this Rust-Oleum black paint, and I'm going to turn them into Christmas trees. So here's a look at my little makeshift Christmas trees using Dollar Tree crystals. I'm loving the way they turned out. I have them displayed here together with the nutcrackers just to give you an idea. And I'm getting anthropology boho vibes. And so I didn't really style them or anything. I just have them together with the nutcrackers just so you can get an idea. But I'm pretty sure if you place these items together with other higher end quality items, no one will ever know that they came from Dollar Tree. So for the simplest holiday craft ever, I have one of these here DIY clear ornaments from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to take it up a notch simply by adding on some embellishments. But before we do so, we're going to start by popping off the top. So once you pop that top off, you're simply going to grab yourself a sponge brush and hit it with some black chalk paint or color of choice. Okay, so now that I allowed my topper some dry time, it's now time to put this little bad boy together. And we're simply just going to be filling it with some of these pine cones that I purchased at the Dollar Tree. And these are the flocked ones. And they come in this netting, but I have it inside the sandwich bag because of the fallout. So I'm just going to go for it. And I'm going to pop these bad boys right inside this ornament. And I'm going to fill it up until I'm satisfied with the desired amount, and then I'm gonna put that topper back on and call it a finished product. Okay, so now that it's filled to my liking, I'm going to take my little topper and I'm just going to squeeze those two legs together and I'm going to pop it right back in and it goes back in so nicely. And so now I have these 3 spools of ribbon, all from the Dollar Tree. I have this buffalo check pattern, a sheer black, and a sheer red. So I'm going to play around with them a bit and see which one I like. And I'm going to tie a little shoestring bow to the top of my ornament. So there you have it, finished product, and that's all she wrote. As you can see, I decided to go with the sheer black ribbon because it looks more elegant. And that's it. I'm loving the way it turned out, and I can't wait to display it on my tree alongside of the rest of my ornaments. So in the interest of multitasking, since I have my black paint out, I'm going to remove the topper off this ornament, and I'm going to hit it with a coat of that black paint as well. So for this ornament, I'm going to be using some of this Epsom salt in place of fake snow, and I'm going to be using some of these mini artificial trees as well. So no tools necessary here. I'm simply a fly by the seat of my pants kind of girl. I probably should be using a funnel, but I am a messy crafter. So I'm going to continue to fill up my little ornament until I achieve my desired amount, and then I'm going to add those little mini artificial trees. So now that I've added the desired amount of that artificial snow to my ornament, I'm simply going to be adding in these artificial mini trees. And I decided that 3 is the lucky magic number for me here. So I'm going to be using 3 of these trees. And to try to get them to stand upright, I'm going to be using my little Cricut weeding tool. And I'm just going to try to stick them in there. So now that I got my trees to stand upright in there, I'm going to pop my little topper back on. And for this particular ornament, I decided I'm going to go with the sheer red ribbon this time around. And I'm going to tie a little shoestring bow. And here's a look at this ornament that I've been hanging on to since last year. It's from the Christmas House collection at Dollar Tree. So this year I decided to give it a little upcycle to have it coordinate with my color scheme. So after removing the wreath embellishment, I decided to go over it using my sanding sponge to remove all of that glitter in preparation for painting. So here I am hitting it with a coat of this black paint, and I'm trying to cut in at the corners with my little detailing brush and getting into those little intricate details because I didn't tape it off, silly me. And so I'm trying my best to paint this to the best of my ability using one hand only because I'm actually holding my camera with the other hand because I took it off the tripod. But I digress. I'm going to continue to push forward. And if you haven't already picked up on it, this year I'm going with a black white color scheme with pops of red and some greenery in it. So this is going to lend itself lovely to my color scheme once it's all said and done. My apologies, guys. I accidentally lost the video footage of my painting those little white square inserts on these ornaments, but I'm sure you get the gist of it. It's not like you haven't seen me painting throughout this entire video. Anyway, I am showing them here in duplicate because I'm creating them in a set, so there's 2. And now that they've had a chance to completely dry, what I'm going to be doing is I picked up a pack of mini artificial wreaths at the Target Bullseye Playground. And this came in a set of 3, but I'm currently using one on another project. And although it would lend itself beautifully to my color scheme, because remember I said the black, the white with the pops of red and the greenery, I am, however, considering this buffalo check pattern because that little bow, it looks kind of cheap. So the way I'm going to do this is because this ribbon is a little too wide, I'm going to have to size it down some. And so conveniently, it has exactly 4 rows of squares. So I just have to cut it right down the center of the 2 rows and cut it straight up that ribbon, and I'll have equal halves for both of my wreaths. So how we're going to manipulate this ribbon is we're just going to be creating a shoelace bow, and we're just going to make 2 loops and tuck them into each other as such. And I do apologize for being partially out of frame, but you get the idea. And I'm just going to play with it a little bit until I tighten it and I'm satisfied with the dimension of my bow. Man, those little red bows was not letting me be great. It was the devil to take off. I had to use my scissors and break them off in pieces because it was a struggle. So now that I got them off, I'm going to go ahead and attach my buffalo check little bow that I made here. But first I'm going to cut off, these long straggling ends that are getting in the way for now, and then I'll cut them more evenly after I glue them down. And then I'm going to come in with some of this super glue gel, and I'm just going to put a little dollop on that knot to tack it down onto that wreath right where the red bow was. So because I had some leftover straggly pieces of that ribbon that was hanging, I decided I was going to go ahead and create a hanger for my wreaths. And so how I'm going to do it is I'm just going to be looping that string right through the wreath and hang it onto the door. But first, in order to do so, I'm going to cut off that little gold hanger because that's just throwing the whole project off. I'm getting rid of that, and I'm going to loop it with the buffalo check ribbon instead. So next we're just going to feed our ribbon right through the hole in the wreath, and we're going to sandwich both of those ends together, have them touch tip to tip, and then we're going to drape it over the door using that middle insert as a guide and just kind of sandwich it in there. And then I'm going to flip the door over, and what I'm going to tack it down with is some regular Scotch tape, and I'm just going to tape it down to as easy as 1, 2, 3. We're going to apply that tape onto our wreath hanger and smooth it out and tack it down to that door. So now we'll flip it over and we have an adorable little wreath embellishment on our door. So now we're going to just repeat the same process, same procedure on the opposite door. So here you have the finished product, these adorable little farmhouse inspired doors. In the words of my 3-year-old toddler granddaughter, I love it. I love my little doors, and I hope I inspired you this holiday season to think outside the box. Happy crafting.